This is Charter Local Edition. My name is Brad Pomerance. We are in the Inland Empire, and we are joined by two gentlemen elected to the San Bernardino Valley Water Conservation District. Dick Corneille is the president, and John Longville, you may remember him from the California State Assembly. He is a director. And I want to start out, gentlemen, by asking what exactly is, Mr. President, the San Bernardino Valley Water Conservation District?
Well, we are a special district, and there's 11 similar water conservation districts in the state. And our function is to take water that's not used by others, surface water, and recharge the groundwater basin. And we do that by diverting water from the Santa Ana River and another tributary toward Mill Creek, called Mill Creek, into basins that we construct.
Sure. Groundwater basins? Because you don't construct,
little
please.
ponds, let's call them ponds, and we excavate ponds, and we fill them with water, and the water slowly percolates into the ground from those basins, and we continually fill them with water, and the water percolates in the ground and goes into the groundwater basin.
But John, is there water coming out of the Santa Ana River right now?
There may not be any right at the moment out of the Santa Ana River.
Right.
It depends on the weather conditions and so forth. But most people actually don't understand when they think about water being stored, they think of some kind of a container.
Or above ground storage.
Right, and the reality is that the bulk of our water is stored within the earth beneath our feet. And it used to be that we had a lot more water stored down there just naturally from rainfall and so forth, but we've paved so much of our environment that all that area the water can't go through. And then there's other areas that are heavy, like clay, things like that. So the ponds that we've constructed have the kind of material at the bottom of them that allows water to soak in and get deep enough to recharge those basins.
But let me ask you, Dick, you know better than I that in significant portions of the Central Valley, what's happening is the groundwater is being taken out at such a rapid rate that we're seeing subsidence, and so the ground is collapsing on itself. Or in some communities near the coast, we're seeing seawater intrusion. Because the groundwater basins are empty. Are we seeing any of that here in the San Bernardino Valley area?
Well, as John pointed out, the areas where we're putting in the water is alluvial material.
What does that mean?
That means coarser material, rocks and gravels and sands and things. And water can be put in there, and the water can go down, and there won't be subsidence generally. But in a certain area of our basin, called the pressure zone, there are some clays. And in the past, with water has been removed, there has been some subsidence. So the problem really is when you draw too much water out of the basin, and then you compress these materials, and then when you put more water in, you've lost the space in the aquifer. So we don't have a big problem with that in our area. No, we don't.
Now, you know, Mother Nature's a strange woman, I guess you could say, and she has given us a tremendous drought over the last 4 years, and she may now give us torrential rains. And so what happens in that instance with your ponds and your aquifers? I mean, can we take in all that rain? You know, should we be so lucky to get that rain?
Well, I will say that we think it's a blessing to have El Nino, to be honest with you, because we haven't had any significant water for the last 4 years. So we have a number of ponds, more than we would need maybe on the average, and we divert the water into these ponds, and we continually divert it and it goes from one pond to another to another. However, we are in the process of completing the WASH plan, which is a habitat conservation plan.
And I want to talk about that,
And that will expand our ability to take water almost 3 times what we have now.
And can we talk about that, gentlemen?
Surely.
Because the WASH plan obviously is one of the most significant foci of your organization right now. You have a lot of competing interests when we think about what's happening in your zone. You have water conservation interests, you have mining interests, you have transportation and flood management interests, you have trail and recreation interests, you have habitat interests. Tell me about the Riversidian sage scrub. John, either?
Well, There are a number of relatively unusual species of both plants and animals that require protection.
Right.
And that's one of them. But the WASH plan will allow us to actually provide habitat conservation. It takes all these interests from all these different parties that
Right.
you're just talking about. And as Mark Twain says, whiskey's for drinking,
yes, he
water's
does.
for fighting.
Of course, fighting over.
But the WASH plan has brought together all of these interests in a very cooperative and not just civil, cooperative
That's a
fashion.
miracle.
It
How'd you
really
do
is.
that?
Well, Dick has
Dick?
been very active.
Yeah,
in
how'd
this.
you do that?
Well, one of the things, what we're preparing is a habitat conservation plan.
Right.
And what this is land use plan, and it really balances the protection of endangered species in environmentally sensitive areas with human activities in less sensitive areas. So
And
as
let
John
me-
pointed
yeah.
out, we have all these interests, and our interest is, our direct interest is to expand the ability to put more basins in to recharge more water. The miners' interests, which are aggregate mining for concrete interest, is to have additional opportunity to expand their opportunity, have additional material to use. But this plan, really, 40% of this plan is going to be preserved for habitats for kangaroo rat, gnatcatcher, woolly star, which is a plant, spine flower, and other species. And we're going to have a trail system so that people can access this area. It's an open space, natural area now, without harming the endangered species, but we're in the process of also doing that. So it has all of those kind of benefits.
Whose land are we impacting? Is this federal land, state land, private land, county land?
Both.
Yeah,
All
it's a
of the above.
combination.
All of the above.
The reason I ask that is, in some states, you talk about habitat preservation, those are fighting words because they see that as an intrusion on their ability to farm, for their cows to graze. We don't have that as much in California, or do we? I mean, are you seeing interests rise up?
No,
Yeah.
do you want to answer?
John?
Well, sure.
Yeah.
There are people who have very strong opposition to habitat conservation, and but most folks recognize that we've found, scientists have been finding as years have gone on, that even unusual little creatures that seem
Right.
like they don't have much purpose in life can be vital in the whole food chain, and oftentimes we find that some unusual or rare animal or plant has the ability to provide some medical benefits to us. And you never know when you're going to find that.
I mean,
So
the willow tree gave us aspirin.
There you go.
Who would have thought?
Yeah, so
Right.
eliminating species is short-sighted. I mean, we figure maybe when God talked to Noah, he was thinking.
He was smart.
Yeah.
And also, of course, we have the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service that has to implement and oversee the Endangered Species Act. So once you find endangered species, you need to protect them, and you need to be able to do projects. You need to provide that protection, ensure that protection, and maybe add to that their habitat so that your project can go forward.
How close are we to concluding the WASH plan, the approval of it?
This HCP that we talked about will be going into the agencies, and an EIR and an EIS will be published early next year.
Okay.
And that being in government activities
Right.
for a long time, we tend to do this. HCP is the Habitat Conservation
Got
Plan.
it.
EIR, Environmental Impact Report, and EIS, Environmental Impact Statement.
Thank you, gentlemen,
Or
for
study.
joining us. My name is Brad Pomerance. This is Charter Local Edition.